You. What am I say? What Garfield say?
Allow me to introduce myself. Who knows what dastardly crime he might perpetrate next?
He's a very clever arch criminal who must be put away. Another innocent victim
I don't
of
know.
cytomania.
What you want? I don't know. 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 I'm so love you, baby.
I see my YouTube girlfriend in the building, man. What's up, Hip Hop Caviar? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Sister Queen causing problems? Yo, you know what? We need to do a panel one day about hip hop, man. Why are they trying to play us, man? Come on, man. You know what I notice with people, man? People argue about things that don't even make no sense. We know hip hop is an African American cultural thing. We know that 100%. There's no ifs, ands, and buts. We know who it is. We know what it is. Let me do this. All right, I'm in purple. Hold on there. All right, here we go. But I want purple though. I want purple thing, bright color. I want purple. Purple. There you go. Let me should I get a darker purple? Yeah, like a darker purple. All right. Yeah, hip hop is definitely African American culture. It's not Jamaican culture. It's African American, but it's just that different people from different cultures played a part in creating hip hop as one. Kool Herc played a role. African Bambaataa, the Furious Five, the B-Boys, the dancers. A lot of people play it. What the argument is, if it's outside of African American culture, then it's a problem. Now, I should be playing Vocab and Corey, but I'm gonna do a special show today. The show is gonna be about Antonio Montizenos. Sure, sis. Antonio Montezinos and the claims that he made. All right. So I'm gonna do this for my brother, right, real quickly. Let me get my sources together. All right. So now, one of the sources we can use. Hold on. There. Who are we talking about again? Who are we talking about? Talking about the lost tribes of Israel. Shout out to Gorilla Hebrew. Shout out to Genesis. Shout out to ISUPK. Shout out to IUIC. Shout out to the brothers that study. That's the thing. When Scotland was Jewish. That's another show I'm going to do about that. All right. So this is what I'm going to do, right? Montezinos. This is the whole thing about Antonio Montezinos. What is the primary? What is not the primary? What is this? What is that? And a lot of folks claim a lot of things, but I don't do that. I like to show primary sources and where we get stuff from. All right. So I'm going to show this article first. This is going to be my first source. And if anybody want to come dialogue, it's not a debate. Anybody want to come and dialogue and have a conversation, it's fine. All right. Let me do this. Leave vocab alone, man. All right, that's if anybody want to come on. Let me see what else I want to show. I notice. Remember, Antonio Montezinos said he didn't even want to be black. This is what the source says. Let me show you all the source. I'm gonna show you all the sources. Religions and missions. Aaron the Levi. I'm gonna show y'all this book right here. I want y'all to take a look at this real quick. This is Religions and Missionaries, right? Around the world. This is chapter 10, Religion and Missionaries, Antonio Montizenos. This is chapter 10. Now it's called The Narrative of Aharon Levi, alias Antonio de Montizenos, translated from the Spanish by E.H. Lindo. Let me see how it's shown on the screen. All right, let me take myself off. Let me see how I could make this bigger. But that's directly from the book, right? I'm showing this just to make a point. All right, that's big. Let me take that off the screen. All right, cool. All right, peace and love, peace and love, peace and love. We're supposed to be doing the vocab Christian Corey, but unfortunately, it can't happen. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna talk about Antonio Montizenos and the claim of the Indians, the Native Americans, making the claim that they are from the tribe of Levi and the tribe of Reuben. All right, let's get to the root of that. So this is him translated from the Spanish. E.H. Lindo. He translated it, right? All right. So watch this now. So he meets up a guy in Quito, right? The province of Quito. He hired some mules from a messenger called Francisco. So Francisco is the one that chaperoned him all over the place, right? Francisco, he gets, look at what happened now. After this incident, when Montezinos arrived at the city of Cartagena of the Indies, he was imprisoned by the Inquisition. Recommending himself there one day, Lord, to God, he said these words: "Blessed be, quote unquote, blessed be the name of the Lord, who has not made me an idolater, a barbarian, a Negro, nor an Indian." So he's praying to God for not making him an idolater, a barbarian, a Negro, or an Indian. Now, if he's not a Negro, what is he then? Because Negro was us as black men, right? Or people from the transatlantic slave trade. Negro is looked on as black, as darker skinned people. So he said, I don't want to be an Indian. I don't want to be a barbarian, an idolater, or a Negro. All right. Let's scroll down some more now. This is a translation, right? So this is the map of where he went and all that stuff that he told him, right? Because you remember, he testified in the Netherlands to all of this. All right. So let's scroll down a little bit more. He said, then out in hemp sandals with jute soles, continuing along the road and conversing all the while, Montezinos discovered himself to the Indian, saying to him these words: I am a Hebrew of the tribe of Levi. My God is Adonai. All the rest is deception. All right. He asked him, what were the names of your ancestors? He answered, they were called Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The Indian then asked him, have you no other father? He answered, yes, his name was Louis de Montezinos. The Indian, not satisfied with this, again said to him, you have afforded me pleasure in some things you have told me, yet on the other hand, I am inclined not to believe you, since you cannot tell me who your fathers were. But Montezinos again answered him, swearing that he had told him the truth. After spending some time in questions and answers, the Indian tired out and said to him, are you not of the son of Israel? He answered him, yes. The Indian, rather angry, then said, so say so right away, instead of confusing me to death. But let us rest a little and have a drink. All right. All right. So we scroll down a little bit more. All right. All right. At the same time, in reply, they made a signal by hoisting another flag, and straightway 3 men and a woman set off in a canoe and came to where they were. The woman came ashore and the men remained in the canoe. After she had had a long conversation with Francisco, which Montezinos could not understand, she explained what was going on to the 3 men who were still in the canoe, whence they had been observing him very attentively. Then they said, so these men in the canoe, 3 men come over, and so forth. So the two then placed Montizenos between them and said the verse, Sema Israel, O Eloheinu Ahehud. Hear Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one, Deuteronomy 6:4. Then they said the following, after first pointing out from the interpreters, Francisco, how each point of information was said in Spanish and allowing some time between each observation. First, my father is Abraham, we will give land to those who come to live with us. Joseph dwells in the midst of the sea. All these 9 things that they said, all right? Send 12 men who write. All right, so they made all these points and they come through. And of course, I'm going through all of this. I'm not going to read this back and forth, but I'm waiting to get to certain points. All right. Told the Indian, I informed you that my brother told me that you would tell me a little more. So Francisco said, okay, I'm going to tell you more. God brought your brothers. This is what Francisco is saying to Montezinos. God brought your brothers, the children of Israel, to this land, performing great miracles and many wonders with them. Things that were I to tell you them you would not believe. This is what my forefathers told me. We Indians came to this land. We made war on them and treated them worse than the Spaniards treat us. Remember, we Indians. So he's talking about these. We Indians came to this land. We made war on them. Them are the people who are claiming that they're Israel, not the Indians. The Indians are not Israel. All right. He said, and treated them worse than the Spaniards treat us. Afterwards, by command of our magicians, we entered into that part where we saw your brothers with troops of soldiers to war with them. Of all those who entered, not one came out alive. The Indians raised a large army which entered there. The whole army perished. Finally, the last time, the Indians emptied the whole country to go to war with them, leaving only women, old men, and children. Of all of them, not one remained alive. When those who remained became aware of what happened, they said that their Mohannis or their magicians had deceived them, and that through their advice, such a vast number of people had perished. Therefore, it was just that they should perish with the rest, upon which the Indians killed a large number of them, only a few magicians remaining. He said, these begged that they be granted a short stay of execution in order to undeceive them and tell them the whole truth which they knew. When it was granted, they declared as follows: the God of these children of Israel is the true God. All that is written on their stones is true. At the end of time, they will be lords over all the nations of the world. People will come to this land who will bring you many things, and after the whole land is enriched, these children of Israel shall go forth from where they dwell and rule over the whole earth, as it was formerly subject to them. Some of you who wish to have God good fortune, attach yourselves to them. The Indian Francisco, having finished relating this prognostication of the Mohannis, continued, my fathers were caciques and 4 others out of 5 in all. But anyway, all right. So the bottom line is the Indians are not the Jews, but they converted once they saw that that they got beat up by those people 3 different times. All right. All right. Let me see. All right. All right. Okay. All right. So let me stop sharing this. I don't want to bore you guys too much. But I'm not going to be long. But the bottom line is, when Montizenos went there, I'm going to show you now. There's this writing called The American Brave. I want to go through that a little bit. American Brave. I'm going to go through this. I hope it can be shared properly. But this is a gentleman writing about it. Page, what is it? Page 56, I think. What page is this? 54, 55, 56. So here it is, American Jewish Braves. All right. How can I share this without the crowd being... All right. So it's actually a small amount of pages. Let me see if I could get to 64. Let me see what it says here. This show, right? This is what happened is he's basically writing of the history of these guys and their claims, right? James Adair and all of them. And hold on 1 second. It is not reached to consider that some of the early travelers in the New World actually did see Jewish and that the reports caused they didn't discover to see Jewish knowledge because they decided to see it there. See, that's a good point. I like the point how he ended this. He said, imagine the surprise, therefore, when 1919 officials of a South American Zionist Congress meeting at Buenos Aires received a letter from the Chilean hinterland requesting admission to the organization of a group calling themselves the Sabbatarians, living in several towns in the province of Cautín. The Sabbatarians are descendants of early Marranos who retreated from the coastal cities where the Inquisition was most active. Hold on, let me make this. I hope you guys could actually see this. All right. And then Israeli news correspondent referring from a tour of South America, Jewish communities during the mid-1960s reported that thousands of Indian families in the central parts of South America lit candles at sundown every Friday evening, although few of them could assign any reason for their observing such a practice other than that their parents and grandparents had done so before them. It is not reasonable to conjecture then that some of the early travelers in the New World actually did see Jewish Indians and that their reports caused later investigators to see Jewishness in all Indians because they desired to see it there. I think that's a beautiful thing. This article here goes into James Adair. It goes into the Mormons. It goes into John Eliot, who translated the Indian grammar into English and put the Bible. Because if you notice, after the Europeans came here, that's when you started hearing about these Jews being these Indians being Jews. So you're gonna see sources that say it. Even Joseph Smith talking about how he got the plates and all that stuff, the golden plates from Moroni, played a role in believing that the Indians were were Jews. We gotta understand the whole role that all of this plays, yo. We gotta. This is the major part. Shout out to my brother Corey, man. This is what I wanted to tell you. The two men made camp and waited. Finally, several other white men crossed the river, cautiously approaching Montezinos. They addressed him in Hebrew, giving voice to Judaism's most important prayer and affirmation of "Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one." Then, refusing to say more or permit Montezinos to cross the river with them, they left. For the next 3 days, they and others kept coming until the traveler had seen and talked to some 300 persons, all of whom continued to say a little more in his presence than the "Hear, O Israel" prayer, leaving it up to the Indian Francis to plain their plight. These white men and women, Francis told Montezinos, were the sons of Israel, brought to that place by the providence of God. At first, the Indians had warred upon them, but now they lived at peace with one another. Moreover, the Indians now secretly practiced Judaism too, having learned it from the Hebrews. You see that? Moreover, the Indians now secretly practice Judaism too, having learned it from the Hebrews. So who are the Hebrews? These white men and women. Implausible as this story might seem to the present-day reader, it was believable enough by the 17th century standards. Furthermore, there was one even more important factor in making Montezinos' report credible. He had an audience that had much to gain by believing the story. Menasseh ben Israel, chief rabbi of Amsterdam, had long been desirous of gaining the readmission of the Jews to the British Isles, from which they had been banished 3.5 centuries earlier. A scholar with an international reputation, Menasseh corresponded freely with the most prominent Jewish and Gentile liberals and philosophers of Western and Northern Europe. In common with many Christian mystics, Menasseh subscribed to the belief that the Messiah would come only after the entire world was inhabited by the descendants of Israel. The existence of the lost tribes in America, as testified to by Montizenos, meant that the Messianic era was that much closer, since Menasseh now believed that there were Jews in every other land on earth. Only England remained to be inhabited by Jews in order for the biblical prophecies of their scattering to the very ends of the earth to be fulfilled. With this end in view, his famous book, The Hope of Israel, based on Montizenos' affidavit and dedicated to the English Parliament, made its appearance in 1650. Oliver Cromwell, who was ruling over England at the time, had long been casting a covetous eye on the Dutch domination of the seas. Convinced that the Jewish merchants of Holland had played a key role in making that tiny country the commercial power of the world, Cromwell was more than eager to bring about their admission to England. Furthermore, Cromwell had his other eye on the Spanish Empire in America. He knew that the Jews had trading connections in the West Indies that he felt could do much to stimulate English trade on the Spanish Main and aid in the economic and political penetration of the West Indies. Inveterate enemies of Spain and Portugal because of their persecution under the Inquisition, the Jews appeared to be logical allies. His friend and fellow minister, okay, all right, so I don't need to read no more of this. But this is deep right here. This is American Jewish Braves. This is an article within a magazine called Mankind. All right, that's the primary for that. All right, now let me read 2 more things and I'm done and I'm out of here. 2 more things and I'm out of here. Got to watch my Bills game. Jewish Geography Part 4. Where in the world are the 10 tribes? Let me make this bigger so everybody could see this. This is just a regular article, 2017. All right, where they are. Let's scroll down a little bit. The Travels of Benjamin Tudela. And by the way, if you know anything about Benjamin Tudela, he went to Assyria. And the people in Assyria said that they were the lost tribes that came over during the exile. So are those people lying? He went to the people in all the areas in the Bible, what they said they left to and went to. He went there, and guess what? They said they were the people. They said they were the people that descended. So it couldn't be. So at that point, this is 1200 of the Common Era. This is 800 years ago. So are these people lying? Yeah, I mean, you guys see where I'm going with that. A century later, a Portuguese crypto Jew named Aaron Levi, alias Antonio de Montezinos, was traveling through South America when he encountered an Indian tribe in Ecuador, which he claimed was descended from the tribes of Reuben and Levi. When he later visited Amsterdam, Aaron Levi wrote, "I must share with you some incredible news. There's a Jewish Indian tribe living beyond the mountain pass of the Andes. Indeed, I myself them recite the Shema and saw them observe the Jewish rituals." One of the people who met with Levi was Rabbi Menasseh ben Israel, who included, listen to this, Levi's account in his book. So the book Hope of Israel has the primary source from Montizenos. So Menasseh ben Israel dedicated the book to who? The British Parliament, and appended it to his petition for the readmission of the Jews to England. So the reason why you are being brought back to England is because there's lost Jews, and that would be the fourth corner of the world. The book argued that the Messiah would only come when the Jews had been dispersed to every corner of the earth. And Levi's account, I'm not going to read this over again, but the bottom line to this is, 1970s American scholar George Weiner came up with an interesting theory which he published in the article America's Jewish Braves. According to Weiner, Aaron Levi did encounter people who knew the Shema, but they were Spanish crypto Jews hiding from the Inquisition. These Jews lived in isolated rural places far away from the Spanish settlements, and they may have converted some of the Indians to Judaism. They also may have hoped to one day overthrow the Spanish overlords and create their own kingdom, as Levi reported, but their origins could only be traced back to Spain. As for Levi, after his meeting with Menasseh ben Israel, he returned to Brazil where he died, insisting his account was true until the end. Very interesting. Very, 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 very interesting. One last source, so I could get y'all out of here. Is let me get this right here. Let me get this right here. This is the actual source from Menasseh ben Israel. That's not the source. I'm sorry. That's not the source. All right, so let's get this source here so that everybody could see it. This is all right, here we go. All right. Now, if you look at this right here, you'll see that it's the same thing that I read earlier from the other guy's account, right? That he had in his book, all right? All right, I'm going to scroll through it a little bit. Let's scroll through it a little bit. Hold on. Yeah, we're going to scroll through this a little bit. Look at this right here. So who talking a good while with the Indian in a language which Montezinos understood? All right. So we know they spoke in a language he understood. Then Montezinos. Let me see. He said, as with one mouth repeated all the forementioned 9 particulars, they came and went about 300 of them. Those men are somewhat scorched by the sun. Scorched by the sun. Some of them wear their hair long down to their knees, others of them shorter, and others of them much as we commonly cut it. They were comely of body, well accounted, having ornaments on their feet and legs, and their heads were compressed about with a linen cloth. So they were scorched by the sun. They wear their hair long. What type of people is this? All right, let's get down to some further more stuff. All right, let's talk about these guys some more. Okay, the brothers are they come from Israel. All right. All right. Okay, we cannot win the men while those men may come. All right. But this opinion does not satisfy because they anciently were white men bearded and civil in converse, but contrarily those of Panama, da 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 da. All right, so this is all opinions on their part about people in the past being white. I don't know why they're using this type of context at this time. Let me get further down to then they start going into Solomon and Solomon doing this. Some of the stuff I hear Hebrew Israelites claim all the time, like Solomon went on ships and came all the way to the Americas. So this is what he's talking about. He also talked about the Saxons and how Britain, because remember, he's trying to get back into Britain. So he wants to sound like, you know what, this is what, but that people, according to Montizenos, made war upon these inhabitants, the Israelites, whom they forced up onto the mountains and the inland country that formerly the Britons were driven by the Saxons into Wales. See that? He's trying to tie in upon those inhabitants, the Israelites, whom such and such and such. So he's trying to tie this to the Saxons and all that stuff, which is stuff you hear from the Israelites all the time. Then he goes into second Esdras and he starts talking about Arzareth and all this different stuff. Craziness. Hold on, page 11, section 1. Section 7, the fourth ground. The fourth ground of this opinion is that the Indians are of a brown color and without beards, but in the New World, white and bearded men were found who had never commerced with the Spaniards and whom you cannot affirm to be any other than Israelites, because also as they could never be overcome, so they shall never be fully known, as appears by what follows. So again, they're saying that but in the New World, the Indians are normally of a brown color and without beards, but in the New World, their white and bearded men were found who had never commerced with the standards and whom you cannot affirm to be any other than the Israelites. I never said it. This is what this is saying. But anyway, I've had enough of this. Ah, boy. Let me share one more thing here. I'm done. I'll be out of here. What am I trying to show again? I'm trying to show not second Esdras. Hold on a second here. Here we go. The Myth of the 12 Tribes with Andrew Tobolowsky. Benjamin Tudela. Largest through the Near East. In the itinerary of Benjamin of Tudela, which survives today, we learned that Benjamin left from Saragossa and traveled through France, Italy, Greece, Constantinople, and whatever, right? So this is around 1168. Around 1168, right? Exiles are everywhere. Throughout his journey, Benjamin of Tudela encounters legacies of all these exiles in a wide variety of places. On the river of the Euphrates, he finds the synagogue of Ezekiel bearing an inscription of all those who accompanied the Judahites into exile and the sepulchre of Ezekiel himself. At Kufa, he tells us the Judahite king Yakinai is laid to rest, and on the river Raga, Zedekiah himself. In Haran, once the home of Abraham, he finds a synagogue. Judah exile. Recall, if you will, that in the biblical visions of history, there are two great exiles, 722 and 586. All right, so we do find, and as he goes further east in the city of the Medes, one of the sites mentioned in 2 Kings 17:6, he finds those who belong to the first captivity which King Shalmaneser led away, and they speak the language in which the Targum is written. On the river Gozan, what is it written in? The Targum is written in Aramaic. On the river Gozan, another reference to 2 Kings 17:6, he finds Israelites spread throughout several cities. And there he heard a rumor from farther east still. There are men of Israel in the land of Persia who say that in the mountains of Nisabor, four of the tribes of Israel dwell, namely the tribe of Dan, tribe of Zebulun, the tribe of Asher, and the tribe of Naphtali. These were not part of the Jewish diaspora, but instead members of the lost tribes of Israel. 40,000 Jews, 10 yeshivas, 28 synagogues. At a distance of nearly 900 years, the parts of Benjamin's narrative that still spark the imagination are the number of Jews and Israelites he discovers, and the circumstances of their station, which are so different from European realities. In the first case, Benjamin claims to have visited a city called Akbar on the Tigris, hosting 10,000 Jews. In Baghdad, he finds 40,000 Jews, 10 academies, and 28 synagogues. As he goes on towards the land of the lost tribes, as opposed to those of the exile of Judah, the numbers only increase, as befits the description of Josephus, the letter of Prester John, and much else besides. According to Benjamin, there are hundreds of thousands of Jews in the city of Timon, 50,000 Kibar alone. Learned men and great war. There are 30,000 Israelites near Hamadan, a great city of Media, and 100,000 on the river Gozan. 100,000 on Gozan, 1,000 in the Medes. All places the tribes were sent. All places the tribes were sent. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't need to say no more. Gozan and Medes, Montizenos, Hope of Israel. Hey, this claim has been going on for a long time. Genesis 49, second and third person writings. From another perspective, however, tribal discourse is strangely limited. Of these 26 lists, 6 are in the books of Chronicles. In the book of Genesis, the narratives. It is worth noting, hold on, let me see if I could find it real quick. I'll argue that it should be the other way around. Toward this end, the most important point to make is that it seems quite clear that Genesis 49 is composed of two parts, which may date to very different periods. The frame of the poem, particularly visible in Genesis 49, 1-2, and 49, 28-33, makes Jacob its speaker and makes the whole appear in the form of a deathbed blessing. Then much of the rest of the poem seems to be executed in the third person, absent the awareness that it is being pronounced by the patriarch or anyone else. The frame seems generally to extend to the first 4 blessings in the poem, those of Reuben, Simeon, Joseph, and Levi. Klaus Westermann already noted both the likely redaction nature of the frame and the unusual character of at least 3 of the first 4 blessings. Following on his argument that Genesis 49 as a whole represents a collection of individual sayings. He suggests that the collection had to be inserted into the context by means of an appropriate introduction. It has been and into a P context. But anyway, I won't read too much of that because most people don't get too deep into it. But just to recap, Genesis 49, 1 to 2, first two verses, and verses 28 to 33 makes Jacob the speaker and makes the whole appear in the form of a deathbed blessing. Then much of the rest of the poem is executed in the third person. It's two different writers, two different time periods. So when we argue about Genesis 49, you have to understand the context and read it properly, because it's obvious there's somebody writing in the third person, and it's obviously somebody writing from the angle of Jacob as the speaker. That's two different writers. Read it for yourself and you'll see for yourself. All right. Otherwise, from that, I'm done. I did too long. Brother Hassad, where's Brother Hassad at? I don't know where Brother Hassad is. Where he at? I don't know, bro. Oh, Brother Hassad, peace and love. My bad, bro. I was just talking and yapping my mouth. How familiar are you with haplogroups, Garfield? I wanted to ask a question about mine. My apologies, my brother. Yeah, just let me know what you are, what you want to ask. And if I can't answer, I'll let you know. Oh, EP252. EP252, I think, if I remember correctly, I could look it up. I think it's a haplogroup that goes way back into time for like the Natufian periods, I think. 252. I could look it up real quick. Matter of fact, let me Google it. EP252 haplogroup. Hold on a second here. EP252 haplogroup. Oh, EM96. So it's like a paternal haplogroup for my haplogroup. So it's like a paternal haplogroup for E1B1A. So you would be EM96 branched off years ago. Let me look at the so when that branched off, from what I know, and this is off the top of the dome without even looking at the Google, right? EM96 branched off into E1B1B and E1B1A. So that's like a parent haplogroup for those two groups that split off. So you could have it both ways. Your group EP252 goes into, branches off into North Africa, and then branched off into West Africa, and then branched off into South Africa. So E1B1A is in South Africa and West Africa. They mutated there, and the EM215, which is E1B1B, rose up in North African region. So that's a good. You got a balanced group there, bro. You got a balanced group. Let me see if there's a hold on, let me see if there's a regular. It's usually it's one of the oldest branches of the human family tree, originating around 55,000 years ago. Yeah, usually we have the since I know it's EM96, we just look up EM96 haplogroup. Usually Wiki has a nice article on it, so let me share it with the audience if you want me to share it. When he said North Africa, how close to Israel, he's laughing. Yeah, EM96. This is the map right here for EM96. So you see right here, it branched off to E1B1B right here. So you see it's right here, developed in what we call East Africa. So you have the E1B1B, and then you have the E1B1A, and then you have the branch off right here that went down here to South Africa. Then you have the E1B1B that go to North Africa, had a bottleneck. Then you have different branches off of it right here. So EM78 right here, and you go past the Levant, go up to Europe, go to Asia, go back to Arabia, back migrate to Arabia. European gene flow 30 to 15 KYA. So this big E right here is EM96. EM96 is my father. So you my father, my brother. You Garfield's father. You my father, man. Any more questions before I get out of here, man? Any more questions? Any more slides y'all want me to show regarding this stuff here? And one thing that's important to study in the doctrine, there's a book called The Origins of Judaism by Jonathan Adler that actually goes into the whole thing about, hold on, it goes into when certain things were being practiced in the Levant. You know, what's the evidence that we have of the Passover? What's the evidence we have of the Sabbath? What's the evidence we have of the practicing the dietary laws? What's the evidence of there being a codified Torah, codified Old Testament? When is the evidence? When do we see this? And we actually have evidence. And by the way, to African Americans, one of your strongest claims to being Israelites would be catfish, because they found thousands of catfish bones in the Levant. They said that they loved eating catfish, although it was against the law. They found thousands of evidence. Catfish. So if you're an African American and you love catfish, that's one of the greatest things you could say. Hey, that's what we used to eat back in the days, y'all, when we broke the law. And that's what we used to eat. EM96. Yeah, so it's a nice little thingy right here. 52,000 years ago, East Africa. Yeah, so there's a lot of work that you could read on it. But in the Levant, though, pre-Pottery Neolithic B, I think you do find EM96. Yeah. Yep. Look at this. Most members of haplogroup EM96 belong to E1, which haplogroup E2M75 is a rare haplogroup, is a split into two main branches, which has been mostly found in where? Europe. What? West Asia. There you go. And among Ashkenazi Jews. There you go, Hassad. That's right. You got it, bruh. And E1A2, which has been exclusively identified in sub-Saharan Africa. So the E1A2, let's see what your lineage and your downstream is, and we could have a conversation. So there you go, bro. Yep. But DNA is a good study, though. It's a nice study. You get to know. Look at size. I took like 7 different DNA tests, man. Hold on, let me see if I could show y'all this real quick. How I went in, how I took all these damn tests just to argue with the damn Aboriginals, y'all. Look at this right here. Let me show y'all right now. Hold on, let me see if I got it right here. Look at all these tests that I took. Look at all these tests that I took, family. Look at this. Family tree, ancestry, genome, my heritage, part 1, part 2. This one here, this test right here is a oh, I can't do that. Okay. You know what? I can't. Look at me. Look at my dumb self. I'm here pressing on the damn thing, and it's on the damn screen. Me like an idiot. Hold on, family. Let me get to this thing right here. Shout out to Donla. What do you want me to read, bro? She who walks on the sea. Talking about walking on water. Hold on. I'm gonna show this to the family, man. I never showed this live yet, but I'm gonna show this right now. Look at this right here. All right. So this is when I was a Hebrew. This is when I was a Hebrew, right? Oh, now y'all can't see this right here. Hold on. Let me stop sharing. This was when I was a Hebrew right here. This was when I was a Hebrew.
Hey, peace. This is Brother Garfield and the part of the whole.
That's when I was a Hebrew, y'all.
This is the National Geographic Geno 2.0 Next Generation, the Helix Project. So now what I'm going to do is.
Who said golf you can't grow a beard, huh? Look at that.
Next generation. Helix. All right. So I'm gonna pull this open. All right. Once you see it pulled open, you see it 20% off. Discovery again. So you have 2 packages in there, one to collect the specimen, one to send. All right. So let's see how this whole specimen thing works out. Let me see what they got here for the Garfield today. All right. Oh, there's a lot of stuff. All right. So now let's follow some instructions. All right. So now I gotta open this up. You open this. I want to research, but you can't open up a package. Huh? All right. So now here we are.
All right,
So
back to
now
me.
it basically says spit.
Yeah, I did a bunch of the tests to show them like different tests. And would you believe that National Geographic test, which actually agrees with the others, they no longer, I can't see it. I can't see it. All right. Well, listen, anybody, Hassad, I don't know if you want to be a part of my Thursday nights pull up, put your money up, or shut the F up, where people challenge people, call them out. You bring your money, $50, $100, whatever, and that person put up their money, and y'all battle it out, man. Battle it out for like 15, 20 minutes. And whoever wins get the money. But Thursday nights, I'm going to start doing that, man. So anyway, y'all, I'm out of here. Any more questions? I'm going to change the name title of this show right here to Antonio Montezinos. That's what I'm going to change the name to. Let me change the name. Antonio Montezinos. The converted Jews. Antonio Montizenos and the converted Jew. Converted Indian Jews. All right, we want a bit of Thursday pull up. Captain Sauce up. That's a huge inconvenience to assimilate, Ronnie. Brother, you show your face on a daily basis. It's a huge inconvenience. Oh, man. Garfield Ben Judah. That sound fly, yo. I like that. Garfield, that was yo, you trolling, man. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of here. Peace and love. Hope y'all learned something from this video and subscribed, and I'm here. Peace. Let me see if there's any more questions. I heard Corey got bodied, Garfield. How'd it go? You ain't hear that, Orthodox Mo. Why you starting trouble, man? Come on, man. Stop that, bro. Oh, man. You don't get Corey started. Corey gonna get you, man. I ain't gonna say on my channel, on his channel, I'll tell him how I feel. I'm not gonna say how I feel on here. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. All right, later. I'm out of here. Peace and love, y'all. One love. Peace.